So this is a short video on solving equations on the maths paper. You'll see with this question it's worth 2 marks. So it's worth 2 marks, which means they'll want a bit more than you solving it in your head. Now what it's asking you to do is it's asking you to find y. So what does y equal? Now you're very clever at maths, so you can probably work this out in your head anyway, but it doesn't want you to do mental arithmetic. It wants you to try and get y on its own so you can solve it, and it's really straightforward. This is how you do it. If you regard this equals sign here as a balance, whatever you do to this side you must also do to the other side of the equals sign. So if you just remember that, you can get y on its own, because that's what you're aiming to do. You're aiming to get that y there all on its own, because that way y will equal something, and that will give you your answer, y equals something. So the first thing I do when I'm writing these out is I just write the same thing again, because I'm going to have to write some things on either side. So here it is. I write here 5y plus 7 equals 24. I also find this helps me not to make simple arithmetic errors. I still fuck up sometimes, but generally it helps me. So the first thing that jumps out at me is that actually I want to get rid of this figure here, this plus 7. Now a really easy way to get rid of a plus 7 is to take away 7. So if you have 7 and you take away 7, you're left with 0. So all I have to do is take away 7, and I write it underneath like that. Okay, and that will cancel both of those out. But because I've done it on this side, do you remember I said everything the other side of the equals sign we have to do exactly the same? Well, we have to do minus 7 on that side. So the plus 7 and the minus 7, so if I give you 7 something, so 7 Maltesers, and then I take away 7 Maltesers, you're left with 0 Maltesers, so that cancels it out. But here, 24 minus 7 is 17. So there we go, I've got there. Again, I write it down below so it's not confusing to me. I'm just going to write it over here because I'm running out of space there. So 5y equals 17. Okay, so you understand what I've done there. So I've got rid of that, and I've got rid of that by equaling it out. Don't scrub it out on the paper, they'll need to see that you've done that. And I've also got rid of that, so I've done 24 minus 7, which is 17. So you see how I ended up with 5y equals 17. So I do 5y equals 17. Now, what we can do, if you're really good at your arithmetic, and you're really good, if I do, this is 5 times y, isn't it? Okay, so how I get this down to 1y, because that's what I want, is I can divide everything by 5. Okay, so if I have a plus, all I have to do is take away. If I have a times, all I have to do is divide. And the same works the other way around. This 5 times y, because let's face it, that's what 5y is, equals 17. If I can divide both sides by 5, that will give me my answer. Okay, so that's not an x, that's a times. Okay, so 5 times y divided by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is, well, that's 1, isn't it? So that leaves me with 1y. So I get rid of that 5, I get rid of that 5, and it leaves me 1y. Or how do we write 1y? We do it nice and simply. We just call it y, don't we? So y equals 17 divided by 5. 17 divided by 5 is 17 divided by 5. That leaves you 5, 10, 15, 3 point, I think that's 4. So, but your maths is better than mine, so you'll probably be able to work that out easier. So y equals 3.4. Remember, if you can't do this sum at the end, don't worry. Because it's 2 marks, yeah, you'll get 1 mark for doing all this stuff. So let me start with a blank piece of paper again, and I'll show you how I would write it. I would always write the equation again. So 5y plus 7 equals 24. And then I'd show that I was removing bits from both sides. So let's forget about the y for the moment, because there's the y that we want on its own. So we'll remove 7 from that side, and we'll remove 7 from that side, because it's either side of the equal sign. That cancels each other out. So we'll have 5y equals 17. And then I divide by 5, so that equals y equals 3.4. And there it is, I put it there, y equals 3.4. And that's it.